The town was enveloped in silence as a snowstorm blanketed everything around. Ice clung to the edges of windows, and winds howled down deserted streets like forgotten cries echoing from past. Inside a dimly lit diner on the outskirts of town, a man stood behind the counter, wiping down tables that hadn't seen customers in hours. His hands, cracked from years of toil, bore the marks of hard labor, and his apron was stained from serving 1,000 meals filled with love. He turned toward the entrance as the bell above the door jingled softly, and there they were, 2 shivering children, soaked, starving, and scared, faces pressed against the glass like ghosts of poverty. That moment would change everything. Yet, the man had no idea that one simple act of kindness on that cold winter day would resonate through decades. 22 years later, a shiny black Rolls-Royce pulled up in front of that same hotel. No longer a rundown diner, but a place of healing, warmth, and legacy. What transpired in between is a story of pain, sacrifice, and redemption that you will never forget. If you believe kindness can change a life, that second chances matter, and that even the smallest good deed can yield 100-fold, please like this video. Share your thoughts and comments. Pass it along to someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Let's spread the power of compassion together. James Whitaker never intended to remain in that town. He once dreamed of becoming a chef in a bustling city, of owning a cozy restaurant where music floated through the air like laughter. But life had other plans. After his mother's passing and his younger sister's battle with addiction, James dropped everything to care for his baby niece. With bills piling high and his dreams slipping further away each day, he took a job as a waiter and cook at a worn-down roadside diner. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest, and in a town where faces passed by like fog, James's presence became a quiet anchor, someone who remembered names, listened without judgment, and served not just food, but dignity. During one especially brutal winter, he saw them, an 11-year-old boy and a girl barely 6. They huddled outside the diner door, clothes thin and torn, eyes wide with the kind of fear only abandonment can teach. James felt something pierce through him, not pity, but recognition. He had been them once, after his father vanished, and hunger was a regular visitor in their home. Without hesitation, he opened the door, waved them in, and set down 2 bowls of steaming hot soup. He didn't ask their names, didn't press for questions. He simply said, "Eat, you're safe here." The boy, cautious at first, broke a piece of bread and handed half to his sister. Her tiny hands trembled as she clutched the spoon. James watched from afar, eyes moistening. Over the next hour, the children devoured the food, their silence speaking louder than words. James packed extra sandwiches, slipped a $20 bill into the bag, and told them they could come back anytime. They never did. That night, he waited until closing, staring at the door every few minutes. But the following mornings and the ones after that, they were gone. Still, their faces haunted him, hopeful, haunting, unfinished. Years went by. James kept working. The diner, once struggling, began to change. Locals started coming not just for the food, but for the man who remembered their birthdays, checked in on their sick relatives, and cooked for families unable to afford meals. When the owner decided to retire, James pooled every penny, took out a risky loan, and bought the place. He named it Whitaker's Haven. It wasn't just a restaurant anymore. It became a shelter during storms, a warm refuge for the homeless, a community kitchen during holidays. James still wore his apron, still cooked every dish with quiet grace. But now, it was his kitchen, his vision. However, James's life was not without pain. His niece, whom he raised as his own daughter, faced struggles through high school, battled depression, and eventually left for college on a scholarship, only to cut off contact for years. He never stopped writing to her. Every birthday, Christmas, he sent a letter and a gift, praying she was okay. Nights often found him lonely, his body tired, his heart heavy with regret. Yet, he never lost hope. Hope was all he had. Then, on a crisp morning, 22 years after that snowy night, James prepared the kitchen before dawn when a faint hum echoed outside. He looked through the frosted window. Parked directly in front of the hotel was a sleek, black Rolls-Royce, almost out of place in their humble town. The door opened, and a sharply dressed young man with a confident stance and familiar eyes stepped out. Beside him, a woman in a crimson coat with golden brown hair moved lightly across the snow-covered pavement. James's heart stopped. Could it be? The man entered the diner-turned-hotel with reverence, scanning every inch as if sacred ground. When he saw James, he smiled, a slow, trembling smile that broke into tears. "You probably don't remember us," he said softly, "but you saved our lives." The woman moved forward, tears streaming down her face. "I was the girl in the purple hoodie. You gave us soup and safety. We never forgot." James stood frozen, the weight of recognition crashing into him. The young man continued, "My name is Elijah. My sister Anna and I were in foster care for years after that. But that one act of kindness, it stayed with us. It gave us hope. It gave us a reason to survive." Elijah had become a tech entrepreneur, his company now among the top startups in the country. Anna, a pediatric surgeon, had created a program providing free care to underserved children. Both dedicated their lives to lifting others, each inspired by a single quiet act of grace. "We searched for you for years," Anna said, voice trembling, "and now we want to give something back." Outside, townsfolk gathered as Elijah handed James a set of keys. The Rolls-Royce was more than just a symbol of wealth. It was a symbol of gratitude fully realized. But that wasn't all. They also presented him with a letter confirming they had paid off his remaining debts and a $2 million donation to Whitaker's Haven to expand into a community outreach center. Overwhelmed, James fell into their arms, tears falling like rain on snow. The town cheered. More than that, they wept because they had always known James's worth. And now, the world knew it too. If this story touched your heart, please consider liking the video, sharing it with someone who needs hope, and subscribing to Kindness Corner. Let's remind everyone that no act of kindness is ever wasted, and that love always finds its way home in the end. Special requests. Tell us in the comments, what's the kindest thing a stranger has ever done for you? Your story might inspire someone else today.